This is just going to be a small instructions on things that are going to help you out for our knit along, which is Brioche Tiles by Suzanne Summer. This pattern is done in 3 sections. Section 1 is a 1-color brioche. Section 2 goes to 2 colors. Then the border will be your 3rd section, and it will go all the way around. These are called ribs in the pattern. A brioche rib, a garter rib, a brioche rib, a garter rib. You're only increasing on one side of the pattern. Brioche is reversible, and because it's garter, the whole thing is reversible. Mark your right side when it says mark your right side, because otherwise you really aren't going to know which is your right side without thinking it through. We're only going to concentrate right now on section 1. Section 1 is just knits and barks. No purls or burps. Some things you need to know. 2 counted rows equals 2 knitted rows equals 1 counted row. These are your brioche stitches, these little puffy guys. Each one of these, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, each of those is 2 rows, a right side and a wrong side. So your pattern will show row 1, right side, row 2, wrong side, row 1, right side, row 1, wrong side. Each row has 2 knitted rows. That's how brioche stitches get puffy, because we're wrapping them on one, we're barking them on the other. We're going to turn each row on 1 color. A lot of this is going to change up when we get to 2 color. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Things I found helpful. We always keep white pillowcases in the shop and in our knitting bags. You see colors, you can find your mistakes. We count rows with food. Highlighter tape. Incredible. Erasable highlighters. Always a good thing to have. A pencil. You will need stitch markers for this pattern. You need a lot in section 2. You need quite a few in section 1. Let's talk about reading a row. When you read a row, this is row 2 right side. You will also have a row 2 wrong side. Watch your punctuation. Knit 1, comma. Do what is in front of the punctuation. When you have a bracket, you will be repeating that across the row until it tells you to stop. Or however many times it tells you to do it. In this instance, it'll tell you to do it twice. What's in the brackets. When you have a parentheses, you're doing that as many times as it tells you before the comma. So slip 1 yarn over bark will be repeated just this, what's in the parentheses, to the marker. Slip marker. RM means remove marker, PM means place marker. Then you knit to the marker again, slip the marker. Go back up here and do what is in the brackets twice. Then finish out your row. I found it very helpful because I started my 2 color, especially during the Super Bowl. I was having trouble finding the beginning of my brackets to repeat. And as this gets wider, you're going to be repeating them multiple times. I found it easier to go highlight my brackets because I knew I was going to repeat those multiple times. Another thing she does in this pattern, which I absolutely love, anything you need to watch out for, she's highlighting in red. So if you just print it in black and white, you might want to go back and check that. I count with dots. I count with food too. So when I finish a row, I put a dot by it. That way when I have to come repeat a section again, I just dot it to know where I am. Let's talk about lifelines a minute. If you don't know what a lifeline is, you're going to want to learn for brioche. A lifeline means you're just placing a piece of scrap yarn on a row. You'll always mark your row where you put your lifeline. If you have to rip back, you can rip back to the lifeline, and these stitches are still live. So to do one with just a scrap yarn, you just go through and put the whole row on a scrap yarn and let it hang. Or tie a knot, do whatever you want to do. Another way you can do a lifeline, if you have interchangeable needles, the needle you're getting ready to knit with, through the hole that you use to tighten your needles, put a piece of dental floss, fishing line, pearl cotton, whatever you can get through that little hole. Knit your row. Another thing I love about this pattern, every row begins with knit 1 and ends with slip 1 with the yarn in front. So knit 1. I'm now reading my work. I know these are my barks where it makes this ridge. I know this is a slip 1 yarn over. Yarn over. The pattern says slip 1 yarn over. Before knits or barks, which the whole first section 1 of this pattern is, it is yarn over slip 1. Again, we're in Brioche's house. We're going to use their terms. A yarn over is just this, bringing the yarn between the needles. That's it. Not that and do something else. So yarn over, slip 1, always as if to purl. I know that's my bark because there's my row of barks, and because it's the slip 1 yarn over from the row before. We know a bark is a knit 2 together. Well, let's just knit the slip stitch with its hug, which was your yarn over. This yarn over is now wrapping that slip stitch. Yarn over, slip 1 with the yarn in front. This yarn isn't in front of that needle. I got to get it over there. Slip 1. So to do a lifeline this way, I've knitted that row with my dental floss. Pull it out of the hole. Already knitted. Ready to move on. You have to be willing to use these lifelines. So if I knew I got up here and my stitch count was wrong, I'm going to pull both of these out and go down to the next one. I take it off. I pull it out. And because I marked where I put my lifeline, I know I can now pop them back on. I know what row I'm on because I marked it on my pattern. These are still live, and I don't have to rip out my whole piece. I would strongly suggest, at least after every rib, putting a lifeline in. You can pull the, if you know the next rib is correct, take this one out, move on. Ask if you need help. We'll make videos for anything. We're going to be making some correction videos, how to correct your knitting. We're going to be making, if you need one because you're a continental knitter, let us know. Our knit-alongs, we've always done them this way. They're done publicly. They're done free. You don't have to meet. So if you have a problem, you ask us. We're here to help you learn.